We're again talking about molecules here. In this case, it's about reciprocal space. Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. I was like, it's somehow an inverse space, but what kind of inverse? A reciprocal. Okay. Um, it makes sense that there's that connection there in my mind. This example is just about substructure replacement. So we're going to pull up some cyclopentane. You can kind of see why it's called cyclopentane, at least the cyclo part. And then the pentane, well, look, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a pentagon, folks. Amazing. So there's our cyclopentane. And what we can do is we have a built-in function which can just, do any sort of things we want. So we could say, we're going to take our molecule M and we're going to, what sort of molecule modification are we doing? We're going to do a substructure replacement, and we're going to replace all the hydrogens with a full benzene molecule. We're going crazy mode here. There's the new one. Each hydrogen has been replaced by a benzene. And if we show it, you can see we have that structure in the middle still, but those hydrogens have been replaced there. And this can be a little bit, strange to look at perhaps. So let's do maybe a simpler one. So look at, let's say propane, no accessories. Here's our propane. It's just C3H8 there. Hydrogen and carbon, as you can see, C3H8. And we could do something like molecule modify our propane. And again, in this case, let's just add an atom. And what are we going to add? We're going to add a carbon. And that gives us this. And if we then do a propane mod, and so here we've got our propane still. But when we add this, it's just like, well, you didn't really say I should add a bond. I'm just going to add this carbon off to the side. So I'm going to throw some hydrogens on it since it has to have those to be happy. So we've got this. Eric says that adamantane would be, adamantane, not the Wolverine one, would be hydrogen going to carbon. So we should be able to do something like, in that case, we could start with our propane, and we could do, it was a substructure replacement, or replace substructure, right? And then we would do H goes to C. And here we have this, and we can get that there. And now all those C's have to have their own H's attached again, so that they're happy like they are here. Really, so energy is minimized in some sense. So that kind of is how that works. You can also add bonds just for what it's worth. So suppose we do, there are a lot of different things you can do with molecule modify. But if we take our propane, we can do something like add bond. And we could add a bond between the second and the 12th, atoms in propane. There were those. Oh, that's not right. What have I done? Right. When I did this example before, I was modifying this existing one. So let's say if I have this modified one, propane mod. You do see, though, it is helpfully telling me that that's not a valid bond specification here because there are only 11 atoms. But if I take my modified one and I add a bond between atoms 2 and 12, now I've combined, this one had 11 atoms and then this one added 5 more. So I can add a bond between the second atom here and the 12th atom from here, and that would create a new structure that looks like this. And we can also say, oh, okay, well, if we've got that, what is that? I can just say, um, you know, using the entity framework, I can see maybe this is a chemical to take this molecule here. Can see if it's an existing chemical. And it's isobutane. So then we have isobutane, and we can do things like, okay, what's the, I don't know if melting point is a thing that makes sense for this. Apparently it is. Gas at STP, then, you can ask any sort of thing you want about this that has all these different properties, right? Quite a few. So the important thing I kind of want to convey there is that kind of all along the way, you stay working with something that's computable, with something that's symbolic. You're not ending up with, a final product with which you can do nothing but look at it. You stay with something computable. So we started with propane. One thing we could do is we do a substructure replacement, but what I had done up here is I had added an extra carbon, and then I took this quote unquote molecule where I had the extra carbon sitting off to the side of the propane. And then I added a bond between the carbon and the propane. I created something new. And that thing turned out to be isobutane, which is itself a computable entity that has all these properties associated with it. So another thing you could do is if we go back to that modified molecule where I swapped out the hydrogens for benzenes, and here I could go here, I could go a little bit crazier, and I could say, okay, anytime you see this particular molecular pattern, replace it with cyclodecane. And then the attachment points for that are provided as a list of rules. So if I run this, we can get a even crazier molecule here. I'm not a chemist, so I can't say whether this is useful. My suspicion is that, these are a bit of maybe kooky examples that kind of show you what you can do in the general case. And what I always like to think is that if you could do something very strange and weird without much difficulty, probably whatever you actually want to do is pretty easy comparatively. So I think that's maybe a nice little demonstration of that idea. Just on a note, it's been a favorite, just amusing thing of mine for years. One time I was trying to think, okay, what if I wanted to rotate this? And just something about this just cracks me up every time I see it. Maybe I have a simple sense of humor. So the point here, the connection I'm trying to make in a foolish way, perhaps, is just that sometimes you can get a silly result, but the fact that the silly result doesn't just produce an error means that usually, there is some powerful thing that you can take advantage of. So here we replace a substructure using a molecule pattern, which, by the way, again, everything is documented. Always look at the documentation. So here we can represent patterns that you might see occurring in a molecule. So here's a pattern for, say, single bonds between sulfur and oxygen. And then if we have some molecule, we increase the magnification here. A little bit lower since it's not quite full screen. But suppose we have this bond and then we have this complicated molecule. You can do things like ask, does the molecule contain any sulfur-oxygen bonds? Yep. And you can highlight this because it's a molecule pattern, just like with a bond pattern. You can highlight any particular pattern match in a plot. And you can do things that are a little bit more complicated. I did notice this recently, and I did report it. So that kind of strange little too few arguments thing, which is incorrect, will be fixed soon. It doesn't actually cause an issue. It's just an issue with the way it appears in the front end. So we create this molecule, and we have some molecule pattern that says, okay, so we have an atom who has an atomic number greater than 6. We have carbon here, and if we have a bond between carbon and any atom that has an atomic number greater than 6, that will satisfy our pattern. So here we can see how many times that occurs for how many bonds it occurs, and we can look at the bond list in here, which matches that. So here we've got this. Although I admit to being confused by this here. I'd have to check why bond count returns 1. There's probably some reason for that I'm missing. But the point is really just that you can kind of write any arbitrary pattern that you want and have it be understood in a molecule. This is kind of a general, or not a general case, really, a specific case of the more general fact that Wolfram language is all about pattern matching underneath. We won't get into it, but if you come to any of my programming classes, you'll hear me say that Wolfram language is a term rewriting or pattern matching term rewriting system. And basically, this just means that we're looking for patterns and then we're rewriting things based on those patterns. Say you have a list. No, I won't get into it or else I'll get distracted. But patterns are a very powerful thing in Wolfram language is the point. And if you don't know about, what things are possible with replace substructure, again, I urge you, just check out the documentation. Say here, it's all too big. There we go. And you can look in here and see kind of some basic examples. You can see that you can delete bonds and then replace substructures. You can replace molecule patterns, like we said, or atoms with other atoms or other structures. You can look at all the possible things here. Say if we look at replace substructure, we can look at all these things. Maybe a neat example. All sorts of stuff going on here. So all the documentation is there. It's very useful. It's all in notebook form, so it all uses code that you can just copy out and modify yourself. Highly recommend always look at the documentation. And very importantly, I always say this when doing larger courses than computational explorations. If you look at the documentation for a function and it's not, excuse me, it's not quite exactly what you want, look at C also at the bottom. And you're going to find some related functions that will probably be very relevant to you. So maybe you can say, oh, okay, well, that's how you modify a molecule. How do I actually make one? Oh, okay, there we go. You may say, okay, that's how I make a molecule. What can I do with that? Oh, molecule pattern, modify. I can check whether something is a molecule or look up the chemical data for something or get a biosequence. Molecule draw, what could that be? Yes, you can draw your own diagrams and then they will be understood to be molecules that you can use if that's your thing. It's pretty neat.